Yeah, it's not like that here.
I think I'll go immediately to the applications. Application number 14-03 of the Ensign Bickford Realty, owner for a zone change from 12 I-2 to PAD on the properties located at 437 Hot Meadow Street, Assessors Map F13, Block 103, Lot 005-3, 200 Powder Forest Drive, Assessor Map F14, Block 103, Lot 004, 225 Powder Forest Drive, Assessors Map F14, Block 103, Lot 005-5, and 275 Powder Forest Drive, Assessors Map F14, Block 103, Lot 005-6, Zone I-2.
Okay.
Good evening, I'm Gus Jasminski from Ensign Bickford Realty. We also have Andy DeFada in the green from the president of Ensign Bickford Realty. We have Chris Nelson and Ron Janesco from Landworks Realty. We have Bob Stevens from Stevens Landscape Architect and Dale Cutler from Kenyon and Cutler. I'm going to talk about some of the big picture stuff quickly. Just to orient you on the site, this is Route 10 and Stratton Brook Road. And this is Powder Forest Drive, and the sites we're talking about are 3, 4, 5, and 6. The Simsbury Inn is right here, Mitchell Car Dealership right across here, so I'm sure you're all familiar with, there's a traffic light at Powder Forest Drive. So we're here tonight, we're also on for the Zoning Commission right after this. We're looking for these sites right here, again, Powder Forest Drive, Stratton Brook Road, Simsbury Inn, and the traffic light here. These 4 sites, which are in tan, to change it from an I-2 zone to a PAD zone. And what that does is it gives us a flexibility on use and for the properties.
So that it's, you're not right now definitely saying you want to put that sort of facility there and that sort of facility there?
Well, as part of the PAD, you have to come in with a very definitive site plan and some elevations and things. So it's not, yeah, you have to come in with a good plan as to where the direction we're going.
But it's not concrete?
Well, not on some of the details.
Okay.
But as part of the program, we met informally with Hiram. We've been in front of the Planning Commission and the Zoning Commission informally. That's the way the PAD process works. And now we're going through actually submitting an application. But there's still another process where you have to have a master development plan on each site, which really defines the elevations and the layout. And also you have another look at it on the site plan. So it's a long process. You see this on a variety of things. So to start off, we have the 3 sites, and I'll just run through them quickly. Right at the entrance to Powder Forest on the traffic light here, Site 3, it's 75,000 square feet. It's commercial. Right now it's I-2. We're looking to move to a PAD. It gives us some flexibility on some of the uses. Single-story buildings, this will probably be a 2-story building, 5 parking spaces per 1,000. We'll meet all the regulations on those. We have a full site plan that I'll get to in a second. The use commercial though, it can be, we're looking at offices, some retail, potentially some a restaurant in there. Those are the type of uses we're figuring for local businesses. Up here, a little farther up, it's an assisted living facility. It'll have a memory care unit. 4-story building. There'll be sections that are 2 and 3 stories. You've seen a lot of these buildings around in the area. They tend to be kind of long and linear. A little more residential style architecture with clapboard sidings, pitched roofs, asphalt shingles on the roof, that type of thing. And then over here there's It's 252 units of housing, which is broken down between 48 units of townhomes and some apartments and some workforce housing. On some of the big picture planning issues, some of the reasons why we chose these uses for these areas, you've heard about the town is working on a village district, the Weetog Village District. Well, this is kind of the northern end of it, and right at the traffic light, we would have a program there where we think this would fit right into the Weetog Village District with some retail, potentially a restaurant, some type of uses, and we think that would help solidify the Weetog Village District. Some of the other things, you know, some of these bigger buildings, where it's the big apartments and the assisted living, they're back off the street. People on Route 10 really aren't going to see them. People on Stratton Brook Road aren't really going to see them. They're kind of hidden. They're very easy to access, but they're back in the park, which, you know, is near a lot of the other bigger buildings, the bigger office buildings, the hotels. So scale-wise, it all kind of fits in. The other big thing that's you've heard a lot about recently in New York and Boston, even in some parts of southern Connecticut, is transit hubs, where at all the train stations, the railroad stations, they're building a lot of residential units, so people, instead of driving to the train station, they can walk to the train station. Well, we actually have, on a very small scale, we have a very similar situation here with these residential units. Right across the street is the commuter lot. We've designed a trail that we're going to try to wind down through the hill here, that will actually, so these people living here can actually walk to the train, to the bus station, as opposed to get in their car, drive to the center, and if you work in Hartford, that would be a great thing. Also, there's a series of trails through here that connect the buildings, and that's, as part of that, that reinforces the rails to trails, which is right on the other side. So the more you can interconnect some of these sidewalks and trails to get people safe passage out to the other neighborhoods, that just helps the rails to trails in the long run.
And there's no exit from the residential onto
Stratton Brook Road.
Stratton Brook?
No, we've maintained what we had originally at the Powder Forest. Is it's a 150-foot buffer along Stratton Brook Road and Route 10. So we're maintaining those. These are really, when you drive up there, it's 150 feet, and it's pretty much, it's a 2 or 3 to 1 slope all the way up. So there's no plan to do anything there.
Okay.
It'll be a good buffer, kind of hide the apartments. We're also maintaining the vista along Route 10, where, you know, you have the low brownstone walls, the crabapple trees, and the big expanse of grass. You know, just instead of the woods behind it, now you'll see some buildings.
Okay.
But we're keeping the 150-foot buffer. Let's see, I'm going to talk briefly about some of the site plans. This is just the zoning map where we're converting these 3 parcels. On the assisted living, it's a series of 1 story, 2 stories, 4 stories, 3 stories. Powder Forest Drive, it's going to be set back at least 75 feet. This was the site that was it was cleared 10, 12 years ago, where it's a flat site where they did all the wood chipping from the big October storm a couple years ago. So the site is pretty much, the grade is established, it's cleared, but we left a row of trees all the way around the outside. So while this is going to be a big building, it's going to be set back enough behind the trees, so it will maintain similar vistas on some of the other buildings where we have them set back a little bit. We sent this program. These guys are a little bit behind where we are on some of the other programs. That's why we sent in a vignette of a little corner of the building of a representative architecture. They think that they will be coming in the summer, probably early fall, with their full program. They're going through the programmatics now and designing it, and but they have a kind of a clip of vignette of the architecture. So you'll see some of that. On the entrance, what we have is, as you come up from the traffic light, we're trying to maintain one building out on the edge of the grass there that potentially could be a restaurant. And then, well, you'll come up into the middle where there's all the parking. We're trying to keep a little cityscape, so it's single-story buildings. This one, probably a two-story building, will kind of cap where you're driving through. We also have Dale Cutler, who did an elevation, a section, and he's going to talk a little bit about the architecture on that piece, and then Ron Janesco from Landworks is going to talk a
And
little bit.
there's no exit on Route 10, it's on Powder Forest.
Powder Forest Drive. Everything's to Powder Forest Drive. And then we're going to have Ron Janesco talk at the end a little bit about the architecture for their program, which is all the residential pieces.
Good evening. I'm Dale Cutler, Kenyon and Cutler Architects. When we were approached to assist Ensign Bickford in this effort, this design effort, the initial direction that we were given is to provide an architectural theme that's consistent with and reflective of kind of the variety that we find in Simsbury, which as an architect is kind of nice because that's a pretty big box. There's a lot of variety within the architecture of the town, but we were looking for something that really did kind of speak to the kind of the iconic architecture, if you will, of Simsbury. And our initial thoughts on this, or our initial considerations were, what are some of the buildings and complexes within the architectural vernacular of Simsbury that are reflective of this kind of program, which is essentially 1- and 2-story buildings, as Gus mentioned, that are grouped around either a parking or a pedestrian court type of situation. And we produced this little vignette that gives some sense of what the scale of the center space going down through this initial development would be. And we looked for inspiration for some other complexes within Simsbury that were similar in nature to this. And obviously, one of the ones that comes to mind immediately is the Ensign Bickford complex itself, which is, as you know, largely the brownstone, kind of a Simsbury or a native brownstone. Which is very, very different in character to other forms of brownstone, maybe other forms of brownstone that are more well known. But the Simsbury brownstone is a very different kind of, very unique in its shading and its coloration, and that's very characteristic of that particular complex. One of the other complexes that comes to mind in terms of an architectural development of this is an area where I worked for a number of years, the courtyard buildings, which are, I don't know if you're familiar with the courtyard buildings. They're kind of a hidden gem, I think, in Simsbury. They're located off what used to be Mall Way, but now been renamed to Jim Gallagher Way, which is a very nice touch. They're, again, a brownstone, metal roof type of development located near the center of town. And so what we're taking from those buildings, as well as some other structures kind of up and down Hot Meadow Street, is that kind of Simsbury vernacular. We're looking for something. And so what we would envision as far as this complex is concerned is the utilization of, in some areas of detail, those kind of materials that are very characteristic of Simsbury, the brick, the brownstone. You think of buildings within the center of town, and those are materials that do reoccur, and those would be featured in some ways within the design of the complex as we would see it. Individual entrances to the buildings would be treated in kind of what I would describe as a theme with some variations, but again, kind of highlighting the entrances to those buildings. One of the things that I thought would be particularly appropriate in this area is some kind of distinguishing architectural feature. And I think what we've shown on this sketch is a possible element that could be included within the final plans, and that would be something like a clock tower or something, a distinguishing architectural feature within that area, kind of at the corner of Hot Meadow Street and Mall.
And that tower right now would be, we're looking at this from Powder Forest Road?
Yeah, we're actually looking at that. This is kind of looking down the through the entrance, or actually the two-story building that Gus was talking about is kind of at the end of the.
And the clock tower is the one that you have all by itself on Route 10?
It's actually an extension of one of the buildings on the right.
Oh, okay.
It is part of that building. It would be kind of developed as a corner element within that building. That's, you know, again, conceptually, that's kind of what we're thinking about at the moment.
Is that intended to all be retail?
No, I think, you know, one of the other, I did forget to talk a little bit about the fenestration and how we would deal with those things. And those would actually be there would be some variety in the window treatments, and that would be reflective of whatever the use is inside it.
How many, approximately how many square feet?
75,000.
How many?
75,000. It would be a mix. We're thinking it's going to be a mix of more of some local offices. Maybe it's a doctor's office, a dental office, an insurance broker, you know, a real estate company. But then there could probably be some quasi-retail in there, you know, a restaurant, some other retail program, something that nobody's looking for, big visibility and high traffic.
Can you capture the post office?
Love to have it. Love to get them in there.
Questions?
There's one building that you're going to have that's on the end facing Route 10?
Yes.
Oh, that's the one, the restaurant. That's actually off the corner. That's not
You
part
have
of it.
nothing about that one?
No, not in that
Okay.
present time.
So for this clock tower, what kind of materials are you envisioning? Or have you not got to that point?
I don't think we've really gotten to that. Again, you know, I think one of the things that we, as we said before, I think that some of the materials that we find throughout Simsbury would be featured in these, and they'll be in some detail. Some areas there probably would be some masonry in a number of areas.
This is a personal thing. Every time a development happens, like in Canton, there are always towers.
Right.
You know, and so
Yeah.
I don't get excited about towers.
We only have one, though. We don't have five. We only have one,
Yeah, the other place has about 5 or 6.
at least.
Yes.
Yeah, that's Canton.
Okay. Okay.
It do very nicely, but the drawing didn't show anything. Don't you draw it that down, you know, it should
Yeah,
be
it's-
down,
yeah.
because it's-
Good evening. My name is Ron Janesco from Landworks Development. My business partner is Chris Nelson right here, and our attorney is Dan Kleinman. As Gus mentioned, we're one part of the 3 parts here, and we're perhaps the one that's a little furthest along in our designs. We're really in a kind of a chicken and an egg situation. The PAD zone, as it was created a couple of years ago with our first project together, it's kind of like, well, do you like the idea of mixing these types of uses together? And if the answer is yes, then proceed to the next step, which is develop some plans. And then the next step is more defined plans until ultimately you end up with a full-blown site plan package with grading and utilities and material selections and full architecture and everything else. So right now, we're kind of in between steps. The PAD is a kind of a 4-step process. We've had the meetings with the staff. We've had the preliminary meeting with zoning in early December. And now we've made our application for the PAD with the master development plan. So really, you have a master development plan here showing this variety of uses with this mixture. Now, ultimately, once the zone and the master development plan are created, and Andy and Gus can start to talk with real live prospects for these buildings, then they can come back and come before Design Review Board with, here's our real architecture. So this is kind of like a waypoint on the process. As I mentioned, we're kind of furthest along. We do have architecture, which I see you have received, and I'll go through that with you if you'd like to. I can go get very detailed, or I can keep it very brief and schematic.
Brief.
Okay. So This way, when we come back for site plan, you know, assuming we move forward, you'll have the whole picture. As a company, we did our first project at the mill. We were there when the PAD was created, and we renovated the mill into the Millwrights Restaurant. Our offices are there. Mill Commons Apartments, which are 88 units. We received our final CO a few weeks ago, and we're about 87% occupied now and leasing up very quickly. So that project is very successful. We just started the 20 townhomes, which are overlooking the mill pond and the waterfall. We have 2 buildings in the process of being constructed, and things are going very well there as well. Through that whole process, we learned an awful lot about the market, and so here in the new section, we're augmenting the product that's already here in town or under construction. So for an example, the townhomes that we're proposing here are a little smaller, and will be a little lower priced than the ones overlooking the mill pond. Those are 18 and 2,100 square feet. These will be 1,400 to 2,100 square feet. These are all 2-car garages in the existing. These will be a mix of 1- and 2-car garages. We've created a nice little courtyard, village cluster type design here. Again, based on our experience, having done this for more than 20 years, we feel that this is going to be a real nice neighborhood. And it becomes a transitional neighborhood from the single-family detached here, Powder Forest Homes, the Bantry section, Carson Way, which we are building. So you go from single-family detached to single-family attached, and then next to that is, I'm going to say, a mid-level apartment product. These are buildings of 10 to 14 units. They have 10 garages in each. And these are a little smaller and a little less amenities than the Mill Commons ones that are already built. So again, the idea here is these slot in right below what we've already built, but those are above, say, Dorset, which is under construction now. So we really tried to complement the products in the town. Down here, with the advice of Hiram and with the zoning commission at our preliminary meeting, we changed the product here to what I'm calling a workforce product. It's, again, smaller than this, smaller than Dorset. We've got studios in here, mixed into here for, more affordable product. They're probably going to range 600 square feet on up, so the rents down over here will probably be in the $1,200 range. Very high energy efficiency. There's a lot of older stock here in town. This is all brand new, Energy Star. It'll be very energy efficient. So we feel that this product will really complement what's already here. And as Gus mentioned, it's going to create some rooftops, which then will help to enhance the business environment. And we've done all kinds of studies at the request of the zoning commission regarding economics and those impacts. And those are part of the record. And I can go over them at your leisure if you'd like. If you want to see any architecture, I brought things like this. This is the main entrance into the apartment community. And again, iconic Simsbury architecture. We created a gatehouse with a stone wall entrance theme. And this is actually the mail center. So this is right at the beginning, so everyone coming home can pull off to the right, grab their mail, and then continue to wherever they live on the site.
Question, Rob.
Yes.
I was looking at this afternoon. It's hard for me to put it together with the rendering of the whole area. But obviously, you're going to have a lot of traffic, particularly at the end of the day, using that building.
Based on our experience with 88 units over at Mill Commons, I've never seen more than 1 car pulled over at a time at that mail center there. The unit count here, this is going to serve about 204 units, or 208 units of the whole community. The townhome entrance will be further down. They'll have their own mail center. So this is just for the apartment component. And again, with flex time and people that don't check their mail, my son lives in a townhome. He checks it maybe once a week if he's lucky. Everything's online now. So again, our experience has been that this is a larger structure than we believe we'll need. But again, we can refine that into the site plan
Yeah.
part of it. But your note is well taken, we'll study that. We've got a series of parking spaces designed into it. If we need to expand that a little bit, we've certainly left room in the site plan to be able to do that.
Well, I'm not a traffic expert, but if, you know, you look at the figures on the traffic movement in and out, it's nuts. It can be nuts that, you know, when folks are coming home from work, if that's the only place they can stop and get their mail.
It's very typical. I mean, we've looked at dozens of apartment communities in the 200 to 300 unit range. They all have either a single mail center, a single trash recycling center, or they might spread a few of them out. So to your point, we'll definitely take that into consideration and see if maybe we need more or different. And we'll certainly...
The population behind that mail, the number of people that are going to be in the...
This is about 208
Okay.
housing units. And again, the 48 townhomes next door will have their own.
Okay, yes.
Their own, and that'll be curbside trash pickup, so the truck with the arms will go through the townhome community. They'll have a mail center. And in this case, the trash recycling center is across the way here. So we'll definitely study it further. And again, I don't know how much you want me to go into, but we did some things like sections. I know we did these for the mill project to kind of get a sense of scale and distance between buildings. And this shows one of the garage products, and then this is a walkout across the street. And here's our streetscape with sidewalks on both sides.
Most of that land pretty level?
No, it's not. There's an upper tier and a lower tier.
Okay.
The lower tier is on Powder Forest Drive.
Okay.
And then as soon as you go in, it rises up maybe 20, 25 feet.
Okay.
So we'll be picking up pitch, and then we'll grab another 10 to 12 feet of grade transition here. Up here at the top, this is where Gus mentioned there's the 150-foot buffer. We actually left an additional 25 feet of workspace behind the buildings.
And that buffer is between there and Stratton Brook?
Stratton Brook, exactly. So we're at a plateau up at the top, and if you look at the grading plans, then it drops off down to Stratton Brook. So we've preserved the entire 150 feet of buffer and then 25 feet of workspace. So the grading actually all worked out very nicely. So, and again, as site planners, we've worked with the contours instead of against them. And then these are the townhomes, to give you an idea. If you go and see Mill Pond Crossing, which is our 20 townhomes near the mill, it's very similar, Jack Kemper style architecture, brownstone accents. We continue to harvest boulders of brownstone out of our various developments, and we're saving it all up so that we can deli machine slice it. They have these huge machines that deli slice it, and then we end up with facing. So instead of using the fake facing, we're using actual Simsbury brownstone in all of our buildings. And for the apartments, if you'd like a little flavor of that, again, you have the materials, but this is the clubhouse, and this is up at the top of the hill. As you enter by the mail center, you wind up the hill to the upper tier, and this is what you'll be facing as you hit the top. And this clubhouse will serve the entire community, and it's got things like a great room, almost like an internet cafe, a little recreation center, exercise equipment, bathrooms for indoor and outdoor. There's going to be a pool with an outdoor living room type space. This is the front of the garage type product, where we've moved most of the garages to the sides, so we don't have just a sheer face of all garage doors. We've kept the scale of this lower, so it's 2 stories. The only point where it's 3 stories is when you have the walkout situation. So you have 1 flight up, units on the main level, and 1 flight down. There's a lot of sheets showing even things like furniture layout, which you can certainly look at your leisure. This is our architecture for the workforce type product. This is all walk-up, no elevators, and the 3rd floor will be the smallest, least expensive units. So you can see where we've kind of combined a 2-story with a 3-story element to try to reduce the scale. There's only 4 of these buildings, so you have 2 of them next to each other in a grouping, and then further down the road you have a second grouping of 2 of these. And again, similar architectural hints, we'll use brownstone.
We've got a studio and 1 bedroom, so.
That's correct. That's correct. Studios and 1's on the top floor. We have mixed in some 2 bedrooms as well. So this has a very diverse product within it. And then again, there's even floor plans with furniture layouts and everything in the package. So these are very close. I would say that as we go through the process, we'll refine them further. Things may change a little bit, but this is pretty much pretty well thought through. So if you have any questions for me on, yes?
Another comment.
Go ahead, please.
I'm sure you remember that garages in the front of the house are not our thing. And it's not only the garage, and looking this situation over, I think you've done better than lots of times over. Lots of other folks have done with this problem. But it's also the door, and then also the driveway, and where you have, I think it's in the apartment. You have them well covered, where you have some garages in the front and the garages on the side, in that type of building. But you still have 4 garages in the front and 4 driveways right together. I appreciate it if you take a look at that.
Sure, and you know, this is version 7 or 8 in a process, and the original had all garages in the front, and I said absolutely not. And so we figured out a way, and again, it's a jigsaw puzzle when you look at the interior layout, because all these garages have to feed to a common hall that have to feed to a stairwell, and so it was quite a study. And to get 4 in the front, we see each of those 4 garages is also housing 4 parking spaces on the surface. So that's two cars for that unit. And we did this over at the mill. If not for doing that, we'd end up with a lot more surface parking, which is one of the things the Zoning Commission asked us to look at, how to minimize surface parking. So by getting 10 cars off the street and into the garages, we've ended up with kind of a blended product. We can't get them all in there, but we got a lot of them in there. And when you go through, say, Mill Commons, which is built now and 87% occupied, you'll see most of the time you won't really see cars. If there's a car, it's usually like a 1 person and it's in the garage, and that's a requirement as managers we have. And then there might be a second car in that household that's out and about. So I'm really surprised, quite honestly, that there's as few vehicles around the site over there as there are. So, you know, again, we'll continue to study this, but this, again, reflects many generations of trying to do that and to create this streetscape where we have a sequence of sidewalks and street trees lining the property. Over here, it is what it is. It's a non-garage product. But again, we set the building back, we created nice entry points, street trees, and we tried to hide things as much as possible. But we'll continue to work on it.
Well, maybe the approach to the garage door, get a little more detail in there and see what can be done to...
Well, to your point, one of the things that we required, and this doesn't show it as well as it could, is there's a deep overhang here. So we pull the upper floor over the garage to give it a shadow line and to try to minimize the garage. We'll use a complementary color so the door tries to disappear as much as possible versus like stark white against brownstone, let's say, which is what we did we did the camouflage color over at the mill, brownstone with a bronze door. So we will certainly use every trick in the trade to try to minimize the appearance of it.
And now, total population for this your whole thing there is about
Well,
700?
252 housing units, 48 townhomes, and the balance are apartments.
So 400 to 500.
Probably. I mean, 1.5 is kind of what we're averaging over at Mill Commons per housing unit.
Oh,
So
okay, so it's 300 to 400.
400
Okay.
this is probably a reasonable estimate. The traffic, you know, we've run all the traffic, and those are in the application. And, the original Powder Forest master plan was for about 600 and some odd thousand square feet of industrial commercial office on these parcels. And what we've been able to do, you know, Gus worked with Fuss and O'Neill and found that we've reduced the traffic impacts by about half of what it would have been if everything was office and everyone came in at the exact same time and left at the same time. This, with this variety, the senior housing, will have the least traffic impact. The offices, the mixture of commercial, there will be some that come in early, some that stay late. And the housing, really, they're going to leave at different times depending on their travel distance to where they're going to work, and hopefully a lot of them will be right here in Simsbury. And so it really staggers, it's counter-cyclical. So instead of everyone having Powder Forest as a destination, it's going out when others are coming in, and it all really worked out quite nicely. So. Any other questions, Andy? Thank you.
I'm Andy DeFotta from Powder Forest and from Ensign Bickford, and I'll be brief, but we wanted to just convey a little bit of information beyond what you've just seen. When Ensign Bickford was looking for someone to develop additional property that we have, Ron and Chris have been award-winning developers, and although they didn't mention it, I understand they got Community of the Year in the whole state of Connecticut for what they did in the Powder Forest off of West Street.
It's announcing that.
Was a major accomplishment. And we know that with their design, as they go forward, their planning using Jack Kemper, we're very impressed with what they do and how they do it. From an economic development standpoint, I just want to mention that right now we're paying a town less than $1,300 a year. When these projects go forward, we'll then be paying over $2 million a year. So from $1,300 to $2 million is quite a swing. In addition, there's another $2 million in fees that we'll have to pay the town in order to be able to develop these buildings and build these buildings. The real purpose tonight is we're asking for your endorsement to the zoning commission so that we can get the PAD zone landed on these three sites. Ron's site is the most advanced, as you can tell. The assisted living facility already has a contract. They're already starting to work on it, but they're going to be coming in later this year, coming in front of you guys again, you know. And I can tell you that we have had some very preliminary discussions with both a restaurant and an office building on Site 3. So we've got a ways to go. We've got a lot of material, probably about 2 years worth of excavating on Site 3, which is the one right at the corner of Powder Forest Drive and Route 10. But we need to take that material out just so we can develop it, and we've already got the approvals to do that through the town. So we're asking for your endorsement. We'd be happy to answer any questions you have, and that's it.
Now, if I'm understanding correctly, as they get to more final plans, they have to come back.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
so this is strictly for going to pad?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Just a
Yes.
very quick question to clarify for me. You are Landworks, the developers,
Correct.
and you work with Gate Architecture in Pennsylvania?
817 are the design architects. Jack Kemper's our local design architect.
Okay, so there is a local architect.
There is. Jack, we've been working with Jack for about 20 years.
He's not here.
He's not here, no. And again, because it's still preliminary, but this reflects his work. The townhomes are 100% Jack. The entry sequence is 100% Jack. The apartments in the clubhouse are a combination. But mostly Gate 17 with Jack's guidance, so that's why they're labeled a little different. One more thing, Gate 17 is the architect that worked with Jack and ourselves on Mill Commons apartments that are built now.
newcomers are on the other side of the river, in front, behind Millwright.
That's correct. Yes.
And I don't believe Dale mentioned it, but I believe Dale did both the library and the fire station in Simsbury. And I personally think the library is just fantastic from a design standpoint. So I hope you share that, but I love that building. Any other questions? Thank you.
How are we going to move this?
If I may, I'll do a motion. Regarding application number 14-03 of Ensign Bickford Realty, owner for a zone change from I2 to PAD onward. I'm not going to read all of it, but I move that the Design Review Board recommends to the Zoning Commission that the application for change to a PAD be accepted.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
No, that's fine.
All in favor?
Go.
Aye.
Fourth and multiply. One question.
Yes.
The last of the four you're putting up the condos at Millwright, the N one.
Yep.
Did you change the roof design on that?
We did.
Very good.
Well, that was a design review board
Yes.
presentation.
Oh, yes, I remember us moaning and groaning about the
Mix it
same
up,
roof.
Mix it up. So, and we'll be doing the same here.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is for me, it's a very exciting project. We've been working on all of these changes in zoning and regulation and farm and PAD and all of this business, and now it's here. And I think it's great. And I think as we go forward and look at detail with the whole project,
Thank you.
thank you all.
Thank you.
Yep.
Application number 14-07, John D. Ritson, applicant, RC Connectors LLC owner, for a special exception pursuant to Article 10, Section C.3J of the Simsbury zoning regulations for an additional sign, as well as a sign permit for Kings Ridge on the property located at 144 Hot Meadow Street, map F17, block 154, lot 008, zone B-1. Mr. Ritson.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Mine hopefully is not as involved as that last one.
Yes, I hope so too.
Does everybody have, I brought 5 extras, but my application, it's kind of got the site plan
Yep.
piece. It's got the actual dimensions and what I'm trying to do with the sign. And then it's got, I have a graph piece of paper with the base and the sign on it. I want to make sure you guys all have that because that's, I brought the samples. This is for your edification. I built a project, RC Connectors did, behind the Dunkin' Donuts in the south end of town. It's called Kings Ridge, 3 stories. With garages, you guys did all the design stuff on the garages, for the most part, the most recent, and hopefully you realize that they came out exactly the way you guys wanted it done. Even to the 3 colors, which I had an issue about, but they look great. But that's the area. If you look at the site plan, the Dunkin' Donuts is right next to my office building in the front, which I practice law in that front building. But if you look at the the site plan here, this is my office building, Dunkin' Donuts is over here. I've got a concrete pad, which is, let's see if I've got this right. Just look at this for a second here. Yeah, I've got the concrete pad over here. The Dunkin' Donuts is over here. The site plan's already been approved for a concrete pad there for the site base of the sign. I have to go through a special exception because it's only one piece. I have an office building in the front, I have apartments in the back. So zoning is going to take up a special exception to allow me to have two signs. So I'll have that battle with zoning and just argue that they're two separate uses, that the building hopefully would have its own identity and its own sign. But what I'd like to do, and what Hiram has asked me to do, is get your endorsement on the design of it. So I do have some of the materials that I want to make the sign out
And the
of.
sign is going to go where it says signpost, or is it going to go where the concrete pad is?
Signpost is where my existing law practice sign is. It's going to go exactly where that concrete pad is.
Okay.
That concrete base is 2 feet wide, 2 feet wide, 5 feet long. And it's going to stand up, it stands up 12 inches. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put a cinder block 1 foot width on top. So there's a reveal on both sides and on both edges, all the way around. And it's going to go up 4 feet, so it'll stand up about 60 inches. The Dunkin' Donuts sign is wider and is 62 inches. Okay? Mine is not going to be lit. What I want to do is put a nice metal plaque. It's not going to be bronze because it's incredibly expensive. I've looked at acrylic, which I guess I could go with, but I think that that may get into that glossy thing that I know design review does not like on signs, and Hiram told me you cannot have glossy paint. So what I'm trying to do is go with a forged aluminum with raised letters, as you see with that font, with a goldish yellow and a black leather. I've got the samples here on the plaque, so it'll look really classy. And there'll be one on each side of that base going each way. You'll see it. Now,
There's no sign there right now. There's no way to know that these apartments are back there.
I've got a little vinyl sign up right now saying, please rent my apartments, because unfortunately I'm not at 87%, which is amazing. I'll be happy when they're 100%, because then they'll all come to my place. This is the cultured stone, heritage cultured stone that you see on the base of the main building. We want to cover the entire base and that 4 foot high with this. So it's going to match the building in the back. Okay. And then what I anticipate is some type of nice blue stone, either a reddish blue stone to cap the 6 inches reveals all the way around and on the top, and then attach, these. Now, what I did was I've been in touch with Chris Aubin, does a lot of my sign stuff. He's given me this. And unfortunately, it's very heavy and it's tough to show, but I wanted to give you an idea. That's like the aluminum, they call it leather, black leather. And then what I wanted to do was get something goldy. This is the antique color or possibly that color. And it should look black with the gold lettering, with the borders like that. It should look very classy. And it would just bolt right into the stone. Very simple. And I know from my, my law firm sign, by the way, and I like to tout this, is the first legal sign that has ever been on that building since that building was built in 1922. The package store, Louis Package Store, the market, I have all the signs. Never anybody had one approval. So you guys told me that you wanted the number up on top, so I've tried to do the number up on top on this to make it consistent as you go down Route 10, because I know that that's important. And I'm here for any questions that you have. And/or suggestions. I'm not quite sure, that the colors. The other way to go is they go acrylic, and then they put these, they make these letters and put them on. But I really want one piece. I just think it looks classy. It looks like a semi-bronze, elegant sign. And, I really didn't want to light it. There's enough light around there, believe me. Dunkin' Donuts is lit up like a, you don't even want to know.
You're not gonna have any orange on your sign?
Any what?
Orange?
No. No orange. No orange.
No, well, coming from the south, I see on this plan here, there's maple trees. Will you be able to see the sign?
That's wrong. That is definitely wrong. I do not know why they've got that tree there.
Oh, okay.
There's no tree that goes anywhere near where that sign is.
Oh, okay.
That's a good question, because I noticed that also. Just give me a second here so I can get my bearings. It's this way. Oh, it's way over here. Where you see where it says this 18-inch maple?
Yep.
That's where the sign starts. That's the first tree. So he's got an extra maple in there, and it's
Okay.
it's not there.
It's not there?
It is
Okay.
not there at all. And it's a clear, and I've got it lined up where that pad is, because like I said, we had that approved. That was on one of those site plans when I had to go get the garages and everything approved. We threw that on and talked to them. We'd like to put a sign in, and this is where we'd like to put it. I lined that up exactly with the Dunkin' Donuts, so it sits back, in line with the Dunkin' Donuts, which is literally it's a good distance away from it. So it should look pretty good, and it doesn't inhibit vision coming out of my place at all. And so.
And the size is fine for zoning size?
I have tons of room. I could make a sign three
I mean,
times that size.
the amount of sign.
Yeah, because with the building, I have 120-foot frontage on the new apartment complex. I could put a huge sign, but I mean, that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make it look classy, make it look nice, and just...
And you said no lighting?
No lighting. Just one more thing I gotta maintain.
Can I ask you a question? Excuse me. This is the main address of the apartment, correct? 144?
That is that destination. That's their address.
Why not light it?
It's a problem getting power over there because of the driveway. That's but I just honestly, it's lit. Dunkin' Donuts is lit, and it's really, and I keep my office lit, quite frankly.
There's a lot of spill in there, is there? Light spill?
Tons. They have these big halogen white lights because they're commercial, and in my complex, they put in the more residential, which are like, the 40 and 60 watt, that are much lower, 14 feet. They've got ones on 20 that just flood down, and I think headlights will still catch it, to be honest with you. I have a problem with lighting because I'll give you an example. Coming up Simsbury Mountain, if you come over Simsbury Mountain and whatever that long estate is or whatever, they've got those two lights that are just, they're right in your eyes.
They are.
And they're terrible. And I can't stand it. So I just don't think I need lights. I mean, I only have 24 units back there, and people are just going to say it's by the Dunkin' Donuts. Look for the,
Yeah, I just wanted to hear what the reason might be. Because you are back. I mean, when strangers come to look for their friends,
right.
And that's why Riverview, for example, had to put a second sign in, because people went right by it and missed it.
Right.
So
now my building that sits back is lit with the 140. They're not mounted yet. It's on the punch list, but there's going to be a 144 on top of each of the entryway doors, and that is lit until 12 o'clock. With the garages are lit until 12 o'clock, so that whole parking lot is lit up pretty nice.
And you can see the buildings from the street?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Yes, I know.
Oh yeah. I just think too, the stone matches the building, so people will see that.
I think very nicely done.
I actually think the stone, with this sign on the stone, it's going to be pretty subtle.
Do you?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to scream out at here's my sign. I think it's going to blend in nicely enough, but I went by there yesterday and there is no identifying mark. So
I'll be honest with you,
there's the law office, and the apartments are there, but there's no way to identify.
It's kind of hurting me from a marketing standpoint, to be quite honest with you.
Frankly, I
Hey,
think...
John, as an aside, who is your architect for that building?
Krosky, Bill Krosky.
Where is he?
He is at 1 Union Plaza, Cross Keene Associates. He's originally from Avon and lives in Bolton now. And
I think the building's very attractive.
well, like I said, you guys designed the garages, quite frankly. And because they came up with what I did not like, and you guys had a bunch of changes, and I made them change it to exactly what you guys wanted. And the garages came out beautiful, and the building does look beautiful. You know, in retrospect, you know, the units, it's a much different project from Mill Commons, but I think I have a different demographic that's moving into my units. My units are more people that are 55, 65, 75, and 85. I've got an older group that's coming in, and the units are a little smaller than Mill Commons, so it's a nice differentiation. I just want to get a sign up so I can get it going. If they give me the special exception, which I'm assuming they will, because it's such a different building.
May I make a motion?
You may make a motion.
On the application number 14-07 of John Ritson, applicant, RC Connectors LLC, owner for special exception, and I won't read the rest of it, that the design review board approve the application for the sign as presented and endorse the idea of a separate sign for the apartment complex on the property.
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
Thank you very much, board. I appreciate it very much.
How's your dad?
He's doing good. My mom is fair. My mom's fair, but they're both at home in Glastonbury doing okay. Good. Thank you for asking. Thank you very, very much, Ethan.
You're welcome.
We have two applications. Mr. Baldock? Okay. Is there any reason why we can't do them both together?
No, I think that would be great. I have separate plans because they're slightly different, but
All right.
I'll run through them and then you can tell me how you want to do it.
Just 1 second, please. What we'll do is we'll cover these both together. So basically, the application 14-11 and 14-12 of Robert Baldock, advisor, Pride applicant, Pride Limited Partnership owner, for a site plan amendment for a gas station on property located at 518 Hot Meadow Street and 1340 Hot Meadow Street, with the appropriate identifications. Thank you, sir. Introduce yourself, please.
Thank you. My name is Bob Baldock. I represent Pride Stores, which is a Springfield-based corporation. And this will be our third store in Connecticut. And we've been operating the closed-up station at the, it wasn't closed, it was a Getty, I think, at the south end of town for about 2 years. And it's time to remodel. And we purchased the boarded-up Valero station at the north end of town. So we are applying tonight to remodel them both together. Well, one right after the other. The contractor will do both. Thank you.
Where's the first station?
First one is at 518 Hop Meadow, south of town, right at Simsbury Square.
Okay, yeah, I know, okay. But that's
And-
not a Getty station.
It was.
Oh, it was.
It's now at Pride. We've been
Oh, yes,
operating it
okay,
at Pride
okay,
for the
all
last
right.
2 years. And the other is the one, the closed-up Valero.
You
across
started for a
from-
week and then closed.
I wouldn't know that. We bought it out of foreclosure.
Okay, oh, yeah, all right.
Okay. So, I'll go through 518 Hop Meadow first, and then the other one, but the second one will go very quickly because they're pretty much carbon copies of the first. So, and you stop me where you want. We've got a full presentation here for you, but I like to be brief. That's the one to the south now. That's the existing sign at the one in the south. So this is Hop Meadow, and I won't repeat myself that it's the south. Everything for now is the south. This is a surveyor's plan, should you want some details. This is what it'll look like. The building itself will be in the upper right-hand corner. You will see, facing the street, a brick building, gable roofs, colonial, pitch, gable over the front entrance, lots of glass in the front so it's bright and clean. The other three sides will be white clapboard, and we've submitted a sample of it along with a package of all the materials to the planning board when we submitted this several weeks ago. The canopy will be about the same size as what is there now, and it will have 3 pumps on it on 2 islands. The sign on the street will be this one here, and I have a picture to show you of one at another store that will give you a better close-up of it. And before I show it to you, I should say the one you're about to see has a digital sign. This one will not. This is the one that's up now. This happens to be our store in Windsor Locks on Route 75 that we bought and recently remodeled.
Where did you say it was?
This one is on Route 75 in Windsor Locks. It's not working. So this, as I say, the building was there. It does not have a brick front, and it has much smaller glass. The one that you will see over here will have lots, and that's real red brick. It's not glued on or anything. It'll be put up by a mason, brick mason.
So the current station is being torn down?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
And in fact, I can jump and show you, our next one is I'll show you a plan of it and you'll see how it's going to look and where it's going to go. If I had longer arms, I'd approach the board and point out things, but I can do it with my cursor. I won't jiggle it around like most people do. It drives me crazy. This will have, your sign will have the Pride name on it, smaller than that, and then it will have just the gas prices. It will not have the digital, and will not have the Dunkin' Donuts. So it'll be much smaller, and it will have a gable peak right here. You have this one here in your package that you can see much better than it comes on here. The reason it's small on here is that it's to scale. It's really only 10 feet high to the top, so you can almost reach it. Okay? And I'll entertain questions along the way.
And both stations will have the same sign?
Yes. Now, the canopy that you see here is about 50% bigger than the one that we will have in your town. This one is about 60 feet long, and the one in your town, both of them in your town, will only be 46 feet long. But this was the closest one to show you our landscaping. You can see the sidewalks that we put in over here. You can see the curbings, and you can see the nice landscaping that we do. And that is another matching brick base to it with a nice trim on it, so it looks we think it looks very pretty. You can see we believe in good landscaping. You'll see a nice flower basket, and you'll see some small but tall, sleek pumps, and they have to be high so the hose stays off the ground. Okay?
So sidewalks is going to be put in front of both stations?
Yes, we're proposing that.
Okay.
I'll show you that on the plan. This is the site plan with all the detail, so let me get you one that's easier to read. That's the internal. We'll come back to it. Here's what it'll look like. This is the landscaping plan. Where's my cursor? Okay. So what you're seeing here are the underground pipes, because we were asked to show those. But I'll start here at the 2 entrances. We're reconfiguring the entrances a little bit. So they'll be the same size as now, but they will have curbings. And you can see here's the sidewalk. Now this is a sidewalk. We're on a corner street, and the sidewalk comes around and it stops. We're proposing to extend it all the way across to there. So while it goes to nowhere over here, the fact is we will have sidewalks, and it causes us to be able to clean up the whole front. We had proposed pavers in here. That's what that dark area is. But the state has disallowed those and just wants grass, so it'll be grass. Frankly, I'm disappointed at that because the pavers are nice and clean and they're red brick, and you have a sample of them in your package, and we've done them before and they really look sharp. The sign will be moved from here, where the cursor is now, to the center of the property so it's seen equally from both directions, and it'll be set back the requisite amount. These are all double knockout roses across the front with a backdrop of horizontal U, so it's kind of pretty all the time. The canopy would be the exact same place as the existing canopy, and this is it here. I'm drawing an outline of it. And there are the two islands, 1, 2. So cars will flow in here and through and out, or flow in here and through and out. The tanks are over here where they are now. The existing building is right in this area, and it's pretty tight. We're proposing the new building to go here, and it's 42 by 46 square dimensions. We have, and it meets all the setback requirements. Lost my cursor. Meets all the setback requirements. Now, because it drops off in here by about 12 feet along the back, and incidentally in the back is the Big Sky Gym, to put it in perspective for you, okay? And then this is a road in here that feeds some of the Simsbury Square properties. We're proposing a retaining wall in here which starts at about 2 feet high, kind of where this little bit behind where the sign is now, and runs down in here. At this point and along the back, it's 8 feet high because we've got about a 14-foot drop, a 12 to 14-foot drop-off, depending where you measure it. So this allows us, by putting this wall in, and incidentally, the wall will be set 5 feet back from the property line. So that gives us 5 feet in here to put landscaping in, and we're proposing dark American arborvitae, which will go tall and thin and block the wall nicely, but there'll still be room between it for our neighbors to put snow along the wall. We're happy to let them do that, so we don't take away any of their parking.
And the wall is made out of, besides concrete, it's got a
poured concrete. It'll just.
Facing?
I'm sorry.
Any
No,
facing?
this is behind our property, and
Faces
it'll.
the gym back there, right?
It faces the gym, right? And it's their parking lot. They currently pull cars right up to it. So we're planning to block that with dark American arborvitae. Now along the top, we'll further make up for it. Along the top, losing my cursor, up in here will be some very nice landscaping. We're starting off in the front with some small rhododendron. Then we're putting in some flowering dogwood and a mix of flowering dogwood and red Japanese maple along the top. Because now that we have this wall, which is about this high and only that high, now we don't have a big drop-off. You can barely walk down it right now. We now have a nice graceful slope across the top that allows us to put in some pretty trees, and then we'll fill that in with some Hetz juniper and with some forsythia. So it should be pretty throughout the year.
With the top of it being 8 foot tall, is zoning going to require some sort of railing?
Yes, we'll put a railing there.
Okay.
They may not require it, but we'll put it there just so somebody doesn't fall off it.
Right.
I'm sure you're gonna be required to fence that. I think if you're over
Well, we
3
would do it
feet, you
anyways.
have to have
Yeah.
a fence.
That's,
right?
that's understood. We would want it for our own reasons. That, and it will be a black aluminum fence, 4-foot black aluminum fence, just the single rails that come up. So we would never put a chain link fence or anything there. We want this to look, we like our properties to look finished, properly finished.
So I'm not quite clear. There's not a retaining wall there now?
That's correct.
So your proposal is to put a retaining wall that's poured concrete?
Yes.
So, on the station side of that wall, the top of the wall is just above grade, correct?
Exactly.
And then you have a railing across.
Yes. The railing will be set into the concrete, so it'll be very secure. You know, we would be very concerned about someone falling off it otherwise. And we are happy to show that on the plan. It's just kind of understood in our minds, never thought to do it, okay? Then coming along, on this side, we're proposing, we've met with the neighbors. In fact, some of the neighbors are here. They've seen this plan before. We're proposing they would like us to replace the stockade fence that's there now with a white vinyl fence. So that would start here where it counts, come over here and down this way. So there'll be a white vinyl fence and stop far enough away from Hop Meadow so it doesn't block traffic by any means.
Do you have a cut of this white vinyl?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I can show you to you in a minute. There it is. It's up in the upper left-hand corner. Solid white vinyl, okay? If you want something else, we can give you something else.
Yes, definitely, at this point, you know.
Just tell us what you wanted. That's what the neighbors wanted.
Not white vinyl fence, I'm sorry, you know.
What would you
I'm
prefer?
not sure how it will age, honestly. I don't know how good it will look there, and all we can hope is that this great vegetation that you are planning to plant there will thrive, just to cover everything, but you
Okay.
cannot be sure, you know.
Well,
so
we can, I can put in whatever you want. You
I
have
would strongly
Are these the
suggest
neighbors?
it.
two of them.
Do you agree with?
Yes, yes, yes. Mr. Walbert's presentation was basically the white vinyl fence. At the time he presented it, he didn't have a copy of it, so we weren't quite sure. We met at the library, but it's,
But you're happy with?
Yeah,
I think he
I
originally
would-
proposed the stockade, which was similar to what's there now,
Right.
and then one of the neighbors did say they prefer a white vinyl, and I think he said whatever
Yeah.
the preference was.
Different
I
from
can
my
go back to-
colleague here, I'd like stockade rots.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, it
Right,
rots.
that's the biggest problem.
in fact, that's what's there now, and
We
it's.
do have white vinyl fencing in a number of locations, commercial locations in town. Namely, for example, the dog place up at the
Doggy
end of Meadow
daycare.
Street,
Yeah.
where it goes right around the corner down into,
Walcott Street. Isn't that Walcott Street?
yeah, Wolcott, okay? The building, or three sides of the building are white plywood, is that correct?
That's correct.
Vinyl.
Correct.
So,
Traditional, not something fancy.
no, I,
It'd be the small one.
yeah. The fence is there to give you privacy. On the applicant's side of the fence, it goes with his territory in terms of design, if you will. I would have no objection to it.
Don't either. You gonna have to do anything with the underground tanks or anything?
Oh, yes, those would be totally replaced. We're coming to that.
Okay, all right.
Okay?
One of the things I'm not sure about on this is the fencing is obviously there to block as much of the view as possible. And that is a sloping situation. If
Correct.
that fencing is mounted at the bottom,
No, it's at the top.
it'll be up at the top of the slope.
It's at the top now, and we would replace it at the top.
Okay.
Okay? Then in here, just masses of plants, some more dogwood, and lots of azalea, and filled in, you can see there's a specimen maple. Maybe too small. There we go. Specimen maple up here that we'll have trimmed and cleaned up a lot, and then this whole thing then filled in because the roots are bare, and I think it'll come back nicely. And I think that whole area is going to be very pretty.
Question on the, you mentioned about the pavers. Are those the pavers that you show on this drawing that you can't use?
Yes.
So what is that going to be? A green line?
The state, and I have a copy of the letter, I'd love to have someone maybe ask them for a reprieve on that. I think the pavers would be great.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I'd say, I have a copy of the letter from the state DOT. For some reason, they're afraid that the plows will damage the pavers. We've used them before, and they work out wonderfully. It's a hard place to keep grass because the snow and the salt just tear it up, and it looks terrible. But right now, it looks terrible.
How far are those
Do whatever
pavers?
I'm told to do.
How far are the pavers away from Hot Meadow?
Well, they're on a raised curb. They're above the curbing.
Oh, okay.
They would have been.
This, we have pavers all up and down Hot Meadow Street. And pavers will continue And what I would suggest we do on that subject is talk to zoning about it. This is an issue that comes up every once in a while. That,
Yeah. Well, I've
again, from my standpoint, I would prefer the pavers.
Same here. I've given a copy of the letter from the state individual to Mr. Beach, and maybe he could call him and say that you've got experience with him and you haven't had a problem and you.
But it's above the curbing.
I agree.
I
think we all agree.
The pavers are not for the sidewalk. The sidewalk is what? Concrete?
Sidewalk is poured concrete.
So the pavers are in lieu of grass.
Correct. Which will never grow. I think we all agree. Okay. Problem is a state road, so they wanted to see. They had to approve the sidewalk, they had to approve the curb cuts, and along the way, they rejected the pavers. So we'll proceed and we can, it's not a done deal yet, that's one of the last things to go, so we have plenty of time.
At the two entrances, on the plan here, there's something C. What is that? See way in the bottom? There's a C and then it looks like a light fixture or something?
Yeah, we're coming to lights.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
In fact, that was a great lead-in, thank you. The next one is the lights. I should show you probably the one after that. This is a light plan of the current lights. And it's been submitted, and you really, I think we all need to see the full-size plan which planning has. And you could ask them for comment. The reason we got it is to show what the current light elevations are, or illuminations are now. I can tell you this is the one that we proposed, and it's equal or less than the lights now. And that's what planning wanted us to be sure of. So they're on top of this. They were, it was a big concern to them, and they made sure that what we proposed was less. Okay? So I can show you what they'll be if you want. There are lights under the canopy. Then there's one 500-watt floodlight here that goes in, so it won't affect anybody, and a second one here to go in. So we kill two birds. We light the entrance, and we light the basic parking lot to get people in. Same thing here. We light the entrance and the basic parking lot and the parking, but that is all. And they're all the new style LEDs, light emitting diodes, everything. And they, in fact, meet dark sky requirements, if you're familiar. I'm sure you're familiar with that. Okay, so the entire place does.
And they're shielded so that the lights will not extend to the other side of the vinyl fence?
Absolutely.
So the neighbors don't stare at a light?
That's exactly right. Okay. And in fact, this plan shows that if you were to look at that's the proposed one, if you were to look at the plan in detail, you would see that it's basically 0 lumens off the property.
Okay.
Moving on, these are utilities, which you don't care about, but we run them all in. The next one is underground drainage, and this one I understand you do care about, so I'll show you how it works. I can use, well, what we're doing is we're proposing, first we're going to catch all the rainwater from the store, and the rainwater from the canopy will go through underground pipes over here to a large leaching catch basin, and from them be infiltrated back into the soil along here and all along the back, so where we have more than enough room to catch to put all the clean water back into the soil. I should also say, if you look over here at the permeability, we are now 50%, 54%, 53% permeable, and we're bringing that to 54, almost 55% permeable. So it's no worse, and in fact slightly improved. The rest of the water goes, and this might, and incidentally, these are pavers here on our property in the parking, and there are more pavers here on our property in the parking, so that any, and those are dead flat, so that any water that flows there, which is assumed clean, will then permeate into the ground, so we pick up permeability there also. That leaves all the paved areas to go. This paved area here goes then into this catch basin and over here into a storm scepter. This curved area here, this drainage area here, drainage area B, goes into this catch basin. From there it goes into the same storm scepter, and from there it goes out into the state system, which, for your knowledge, then happens in this case to go down the back into an existing right-of-way and off into the Farmington River Basin. And we've gotten verbal approval at this point from the state to do that. The next one, if you care to see parking flow for the delivery trucks, it's on this lower one. Over here, you can see where trucks come in and how it works. And those are turning radiuses provided by our engineers. The next is more details of went to the state with curb cuts and stop lines. The next is a gentleman who doesn't like the pavers, the fence. Now, I'll come back to that one later. Now, you asked about tanks. I'll jump around. Here's the tank. The tank is made by General Industries. It's a double wall tank. The inner liner is 1/4-inch plate, and that holds the product. Around that, I got this thing to work again. It does not like my thing. Around the inner, there's the inner wall of the tank. Here's the outer wall, and you can see there's a standoff there. There's an interstitial area. And I should say this. The second layer around the tank is fiberglass. So the inside holds the product with the strength of the steel, the 1/4-inch plate. The outside keeps any corrosion from getting at the tank itself. It's totally sealed. It also acts as a second barrier, so if somehow the steel should spring a leak, it'll be caught by the outer level. And then in between there are sensors which are connected to this unit here, TLS, the Vita root product, in fact, made locally in Simsbury and shipped all over the world. You should know that your product is made right here. It's the best in the world. It's a tank monitor that monitors about everything you need to know on that tank. Starting over here in the corner here, it lists all the things. For one, it has a sensor so that should there be a leak from the inner tank out, it sends a message to this baby, who then sends an email to our dispatcher and our engineering people. It also has a sensor in there which tells us how much product is in the tank. It also has a processor in there which is connected to the cash register and compares the amount of product in the tank at all times to the amount of gallons sold and tells you if there's a discrepancy, which would indicate a leak somewhere.
What's the estimated life of one of those tanks?
That tank is 50 years at least, because in fact it should last forever. Okay.
In my last life, I built about 8 or 10 gas stations for Snowco and Shell, and I was at the point where they transitioned from steel to fiberglass.
Right. Yeah, and fiberglass was in vogue for a long time. Now, what I like is this, because you've got the strength of steel and the corrosion resistance of the fiberglass, so you have a double duty.
Yeah.
It was a great idea. Now, this is the piping. It, too, is double wall, and this just shows you how it's put together. It also has sensors in it. You can see in here there's pressure things and all that. So that if the piping were to have a leak, another set of sensors would go off. There are also sensors monitored by that monitor, which are in the sumps, so that underneath the pump, should there be a drip, what they have nowadays is a great big fiberglass tub, totally sealed, with a sensor in it. So should there be any more than a half-inch of product get in that underground, under the pump itself, through a pump leak or just drippage, another sensor goes off. There are also sensors in all the areas that are exposed to the surface. So should there be a leak in anything that comes in, or even rainwater that gets in, a different sensor goes off and says you have product in one of your above ground sump, your surface sumps now, you better find out what it is. There are others that shut down the system if you lose pressure in the line, just like that. So I picture the underground system now to be much like a person in intensive care with a whole bunch of wires going to them and all these monitors going across, and you can tell exactly what's going on at any point. Our dispatcher can also use that to tell how much product is in the ground. You give her a computer anywhere in the world and she can dispatch trucks like that because she knows to the gallon how many gallons are in each one. It's a pretty neat system. That's the tank.
Excuse me. We're getting close to our,
I'm on the next one. The next one is the same.
Well, that's what I'm saying is
I'm
are
done.
there there's no significant differences
No.
from a design standpoint.
That's correct.
In these two.
The next one is the same.
Okay.
Right.
Do my colleagues have any other questions?
Well, the next one doesn't have the 8-foot wall, or it has a different drainage system.
That's correct. It does have a 6-foot wall on the north side
Well,
because
go
our
ahead and-
neighbor.
Go ahead and show us
Let me show you that.
the layout
There's
of.
a picture of it, okay,
Yeah.
pictures of it, and same building as you can see, same thing there. And the wall here is on this side. Here's Hop Meadow, okay?
Yeah.
So the wall is on this side with approval of our neighbor because he has a 6-foot drop off there. And in fact, he's happy to have it because his wall, it's eroding, okay? And outside of that, it's the same property. Everything's identical.
Fencing as well?
Along the walking trail,
Walking trail, the walking and bike trail is runs right along the back at the bottom of an embankment. Same drop off, but no need for us to do anything. It's already landscaped, and we'll be cleaning it up.
but you'll have a fence along.
We don't need to put a fence here, frankly. I'd rather have just a natural. We're gonna fill that up with forsythia and low-growing bushes that give it a little bit of color. But there'll be no fence here, except for what's on top of the,
And the sign is in the same place and
the sign will be moved to the center also.
okay. All right.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Any other questions, gentlemen, ladies, gentlemen?
Well, I would like to comment on the fence issue on the southern property. It's a lot of fence. I mean, I can't tell from the plan what the distances are, but this, well, it looks like this is 66 feet here. Well, here it is, 66 feet, so it's going to be roughly the same 60 and another 60. That's a lot of vinyl fence.
I would suggest where we take some out. I just brought it back up again for us all to look at. I don't think it's necessary in here, because that's all landscaped anyway, so it's gonna be in the middle of landscaping, okay? I can see it along the back here.
Where are
and
the neighbors, in the back there?
The neighbor's here, that's the middle of the house, right there.
Okay.
So I can see it along the back here and along there. But there's really no need for it in between.
And the neighbors, you're satisfied?
Well, where I reside, I'm at 1 Hazel Meadow. So the side street there, that's
Sure,
right.
this is Hazel Meadow right here.
Right, I'm on the
You're
other
over here,
side.
so that's your
right
house.
there. So I'm not getting, my major concern was the lights. I was concerned about the lighting. The fencing, there is stockade fencing there, which is very old right now, and it's not very attractive. The vinyl fencing would just be something that would be, whether it's vinyl or whatever you put there, would just be nice because it would add an extra feature that I'm not looking at a gas station, no offense.
No, it's okay.
It would just kind of hide it, but that, my big
Does the
concern.
current gas station, do the lights of the current gas station bother you?
No, they don't bother me.
Because of the fence, or?
No,
Well,
fence isn't high enough to do that. That's,
The,
it's really the landscaping.
I'm sorry,
It's the landscaping.
yeah, it's the landscaping. What are you saying by that?
Well, your abrevieties are there.
Yeah, I have abrevieties that help, but when I get up to my second floor, I can see the gas station. And my concern was the lighting from my second floor. But yet the fence does help, but it was just more or less for attractiveness.
Yeah, I would be inclined to leave the fence on that line and to buffer visually for them, but to not have it be the same material, so that perhaps the back triangle is white vinyl and maybe then it goes back to stockade. Now, I know the argument is stockade rots, but it's not been proven that in the 25 or 30 years it'll take for the stockade to rot that the vinyl fence will also look, it's not proven that it's going to look any better yet. So I would think some way of mixing it up might give it a better appearance, in my opinion.
I'd frankly do one or the other. I don't mind either one. You know, I have stockade around my whole house, and I've been there 30 years and I replaced it once at least.
How about if I were to put in a more solid wall of landscaping? I could put in something a lot more dense, something we could agree on the side, not take their time.
On that side, you mean?
Yeah, we're filling that whole area with landscaping anyway. So if I get right there. So there's the area in question.
Right.
And we're filling it between azaleas, dogwood. We could put in some Hetz juniper, which would be very dense. We can add some more forsythia or something else, a great big, bush thing. And, you're not going to be able to see through that.
That would be better.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I'd rather do it. We already have planned some rhododendron maximum in here, which is the one that grows to 12 feet. And rhodies are beautiful.
Right.
Okay.
So that's all planned for this whole corner. We can bring a few down here, and then they're just gorgeous.
That would be better than more fence.
I agree.
So you go for the
Yes.
fence on the upper part?
Yeah, I think it's agreed we would have fence here and fence here where it backs up to residential.
Yeah.
I mean, frankly, I'd be more inclined to see stockade in the back part than white vinyl, but we can argue about that. But to eliminate that section completely makes a lot of sense if you can put in a dense line.
I'm happy to do that. And then I'm happy to put in the stockade instead of the white vinyl. We only switched to white vinyl at the request of a particular neighbor.
I know we have a difference.
Who's not here tonight.
And I do have another, again, comment, suggestion, just from architectural point of view, for the gas station itself, for the little building. I totally understand this is like a typical standard little project that you have and you use everywhere in all
Well, actually, this one
locations.
is much slimmed down, much smaller.
Good, good. Smaller is better. Yeah, absolutely. I'm just not sure. I think it's too much of a contrast between this brick facade, which I like, the brick front, and all the other sides being white vinyl. Just as a suggestion, would you consider a different color vinyl?
I could. We went with the white because it's so traditional.
Well, it's traditional, but if it's vinyl and white and the thin boards, clapboards, it's also cheap.
Oh, this is not going to be cheap.
No.
I don't know. Maybe it just looks. I don't know.
Not going to be
again,
cheap. This is
again,
gonna, you're going to be very happy.
My suggestion, if you
What is the
consider
brick you're
different
using?
color
Common
than
common
white.
brick?
Yes.
The other thing I want, this canopy, you showed two very thin posts.
Yes.
What are they made of? Just
Those are steel posts painted white, so they blend with the, they disappear. You
but
don't
you see,
even
that's
see
the
them.
thing. They don't disappear. They don't blend with the brick in the background with the facade. So just again, if you can address this, the materials, the colors.
We've tried different colors over the years, and the white is gorgeous. We keep it clean. And
But it's only
really
like a lolly column, right? So
That's it. That's all it is.
So that's just,
An 8-inch column.
4 inches or 5 inches?
It's 8 inch. It has to be
Okay.
8
4
because
inch,
it's a
like,
big
yeah.
canopy. But we've used the white over the years, and it really looks sharp.
But you could also cover it with vinyl and make it a square.
That only makes it bigger.
Oh, yeah, well, I think bigger is better than smaller. Smaller looks
Yeah.
pretty spindly.
Yeah, it
And,
looks.
no, I'm not, I'm not a design person, but
Yeah, again, I don't know. I would.
We've tried stuff over the years, and just a nice coat of paint on it looks good. Really does. You won't even notice
It's also
them.
a nice color, not just white.
You won't
so.
notice them.
Any other comments or questions?
Nope.
Would you like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, or Mr. Secretary, I move that applications number 14-11 and 14-12 of Robert Bullock, advisor, Pride applicant, Pride Limited Partnership, owner of the site plan amendment for the gas stations on the property located at 518 and 1340 Hop Meadow Street, that the Design Review Board says that the plan as projected meets our program, but with the fence being, vinyl fence not coming down the south side of the property, and that more vegetation will be put in there to cover the neighbor, and that I'd leave it up to the gas station to decide whether they want to go with vinyl back there or stockade.
Can I add a comment on the pavers? The Design Review Board feels that the pavers that are shown at the edge of the property, the front edge of the property, are appropriate from a design standpoint, and recommends that the zoning commission permits their use.
But even if they have a DOT saying no?
That's...
And the neighbors are in agreement?
I want to see if the letter says you can't.
May I add, where fencing is required by code on retaining walls, that the fencing be, you said
4 foot black,
4
4 foot black aluminum, properly secured.
Pickets.
Colonial style.
Colonial style.
So amended.
Okay. Second? Paul?
What about the color? Considering, no, I'm not
I
joking
understand.
about it.
I'm not joking either.
And I totally understand that it's a gas station and, you know,
I could
definitely
meet
look
with-
better than what's there now, but
Could we do this?
all
Could
that
I-
white thing kind of bother me.
Okay, I'd be happy to meet with you privately, show you the different colors that are available, and then you pick.
Sure.
No, you can't do that.
Can't do
I
that?
can't do that?
No.
Okay, no, I cannot do that.
You can't change it.
All right, fine. I mean, I don't care. We've used it before, and it's
It's
clean.
it's like a regular house here with a brick
Yeah.
front and white vinyl sides.
Honestly, I'm not troubled by it.
You're not?
No.
Okay, so maybe it's just me. Okay, it's fine.
All right, thank
No
you.
problem. I go
Thank
with
you.
everybody else's.
Thank you all.
You're very well, well, we haven't voted yet.
Favor? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is carried.
Thank you all.
Okay. We need to approve minutes and stuff quick?
Any discussion items?
Well, there's no discussion items because, or correspondence, because Emil is not, Hiram is not here.
Okay.
I think we ought to adjourn because the
Maybe we ought to
zoning
approve
folks-
minutes first?
Pardon?
You ought to approve the minutes of the last meeting? I move that we approve the minutes of the meeting of March 3rd.
Second. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
I move we adjourn.
so moved.
Second. Aye.
Aye.